tonight.
I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
If you got something to say it to my face.
One day till the big debate. The latest as the candidates prepare to take the stage. Plus, as the IDF targets Hamas in Gaza, violence and fear in Jordan is killing the economy.
No tourists. All the tourists is afraid.
And
the threat would be that people stay home because they can't sort out what's the better choice.
how former President Trump's abortion views are causing some concern for Christian voters. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Just one day to go until the high-stakes debate showdown between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Faith Nation. From CBN's headquarters in Virginia Beach, I'm Wendy Griffith. Well, the countdown is on as Donald Trump and Kamala Harris prepare to meet for the first time on a debate stage. Tomorrow night will be a significant matchup as the latest polls continue to show the presidential candidates running neck and neck with just 2 months to go before Election Day. CBN Washington correspondent Michelle London joins us now with the latest in the race for the White House. Michelle?
Wendy, good evening. Both Harris and Trump are traveling to Philadelphia tonight as they prepare for this pivotal moment. Unless something changes, it'll be the only opportunity for voters to see and hear the two explain face-to-face why they should be president. Preparations ahead of Tuesday's showdown look different for each candidate. Vice President Harris recently off the campaign trail, intensively preparing in Pittsburgh with mock-style debates.
Are you ready, Madam Vice President?
Ready.
Donald Trump is taking a more casual approach, holding informal policy sessions with advisors like Congressman Matt Gaetz. Trump addressed national police leaders in Charlotte Friday before campaigning over the weekend in Wisconsin.
If I destroy her in the debate, they'll say, Trump suffered a humiliating defeat tonight.
Less than 60 days from the 2024 election, a New York Times Siena poll reveals a tight race, showing Trump at 48% and Harris at 47%. That's within the poll's margin of error, with a substantial portion of voters saying they don't know enough about Harris or her policies yet. Data makes one thing clear: this race could go either way. As the former president garners support from party leaders and elected officials, some high-profile Republicans like former Vice President Dick Cheney and his daughter, former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, now say they'll vote for Harris instead of their party's candidate.
You have many Republicans out there who are saying, well, we're not going to vote for him, but we will write someone else in. And I think that this time around, that's not enough.
Former President George W. Bush will not be making an endorsement. And over the weekend, Trump took to his Truth Social platform saying, quote, "When I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences so that this depravity of justice does not happen again." Wendy?
Well, you mentioned this newly released poll, Michelle, where a group of voters still doesn't really know Harris's policies. How is she going to combat that?
Well, you know, Harris did finally add a policy page to her campaign's website. It breaks her and Wall's proposals into 4 sections that include lowering costs for families, ensuring safety and justice, and safeguarding fundamental freedoms. Wendy?
And reporting for us. Thank you so much, Michelle. And you can watch the entire presidential debate on the CBN News YouTube channel. That's Tuesday night at 8:45 p.m. Our chief political analyst, David Brody, will be there, and you don't want to miss his coverage. I will be there. Well, here with more on the big debate is Faith Nation contributor and the editor and publisher of Inside Elections, Nathan Gonzalez. Nathan, welcome.
Yeah, Wendy, thanks for having me.
Nathan, why is this debate so crucial for both candidates at this phase of the presidential campaign?
Well, as you've laid out, this is a close race. And, beyond the national polls, when you're looking at the 7 states that are likely to decide this election, a a swing of just a couple of points in either direction is huge. And so I think we really are talking about independent voters. I don't expect something to happen that will, sway Democrats to come away from Harris or Republicans to come away from Trump. I think we're locked in on a core group of people in the middle in 7 key states.
Well, some conservatives fear former President Trump will get triggered by Harris's insults if she makes them. Do you think he'll take the bait, or will Trump show restraint tomorrow night?
Well, we'll see. The dangerous place to be is predicting exactly what Trump is going to do. So I will tread carefully. But we have to remember this debate is taking place in a different dynamic than the June 27th debate between Biden and Trump. In that debate, Biden needed that debate to be a game changer because the trajectory was favoring Trump. And Biden obviously failed to do that in almost every way possible. In this case, it's a close race, but I think Trump needs to change the trajectory of this election. I think the trajectory favors Harris, even though it's still close. And we'll see when someone gets into that position of feeling like you need to change the dynamic. Who knows what he's going to say. And I'll add, though, that Harris does need to keep introducing herself to voters. So she's going to present her best case for herself and her policies, while Trump is going to be standing next to her trying to paint a very different picture.
Nathan, this is the only scheduled debate so far, and with just 56 days and a few hours until the election, how important is this event tomorrow night for the undecided voter? Will it make a difference to the undecideds?
It's important because this might be the only time that you see Harris and Trump side by side, because what's probably going to happen is that there's going to be a winner and a loser, and the winner will probably decline future opportunities because they want to sort of end on a high or finish on a high note and not give their opponent an opportunity to try to redo what's already been done. So I think it would be beneficial to see them together again in multiple cases. I'm skeptical. We'll see if there's a if the vice presidential debate moves forward. But this might be the chance to see them side by side from now until November 5th.
So I'm hearing, Nathan, and maybe you are too, that they're at this stage in the campaign, with just 56 days to go, that there's never been a race quite this tight. Somebody's always been, a few points ahead, or it's been a little bit looser. What do you make of this? What do you make that it's just so incredibly, tight as a tick, as they say?
We have an evenly divided country, and so the dirty secret is that the vast majority of people have already made up their mind about how they're going to vote. And for those people that haven't made up their mind yet, I think they want to know information, or they're just waiting to tune in until later. Even though we're talking about this like the election is imminent because we're after Labor Day, and that's when we talk about the election getting engaged. But there could be people that don't decide until 2 weeks before the election. And so what's the state of the country? What have the candidates said and done from now until then? And it could be decided by those people who will remain undecided until close to the end.
Wow. It's going to be a nail biter. Nathan Gonzalez, thank you so much for your insights. We always appreciate it.
No problem. We'll see you next time.
All right. Well, turning now to the West, where dozens of wildfires in California and Nevada have forced thousands of people to leave their homes to get to safety. As Dale Hurd reports, some of those fires have grown enormously in only a few days.
State officials said overnight there were 14 active wildfires burning across California. Blazes have grown by more than 4 times just since Saturday morning.
And so it was really just everywhere you turned around, there was a new spot fire. There were literally hundreds of spot fires coming off of this.
Fire north of the Bay Area has burned at least 30 buildings and forced 4,000 people to evacuate the city of Clear Lake. Authorities urged residents in several areas to flee.
This is the first time I've ever evacuated. So it's been all new experience for me.
In Southern California, firefighters briefly ran from flames. The area's largest wildfire, the Line Fire, has burned more than 20,000 acres in San Bernardino County and has grown 14 times bigger in just over 1 day. An emergency was also declared in Nevada as a fire south of Reno forced 14,000 people to evacuate.
And a brutal days-long heat wave has gripped the West, with triple-digit heat expected in some areas through tomorrow. And the heat, along with thunderstorms, making things even tougher for firefighters. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Thanks, Dale. Well, shocking new details tonight in the deadly shooting at Appalachia High School in Georgia. The Washington Post reports newly discovered texts reveal the suspect's mom warned the school ahead of the attack that killed 4 people. Call logs show a 10-minute phone call to the school about 30 minutes before gunfire erupted. And according to the Post, Marcy Gray texted her sister to say she had called and spoken to a school counselor saying, quote, "I told them it was an extreme emergency and for them to go immediately and find my son to check on him." The father of the 14-year-old shooter was arrested last week for his actions that authorities say led to the tragedy.
He is charged with the following: 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. Mr. Gray, these charges stem from Mr. Gray knowingly allowing his son, Colt, to possess a weapon.
The 14-year-old shooter has also been charged with 4 counts of felony murder. Well, up next, as the war in Gaza rages on, Israel combats terrorism even closer to home. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Faith Nation. Israel is ordering the evacuation of northern Gaza again as the IDF continues its campaign against Hamas. Meanwhile, not far from Jerusalem, violence is raging in the West Bank, also known as biblical Judea and Samaria. On Sunday, a gunman shot and killed 3 Israelis at a border crossing between Jordan and the West Bank. Jordanians celebrated the attack while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu blamed Iran.
We're surrounded by a murderous ideology led by Iran's axis of evil. The murderers do not differentiate between us.
Sunday's attack is the latest example of escalating violence in the West Bank. In August, Palestinian terrorists set off car bombs there, and earlier this month, a gunman killed 3 Israeli police officers. Israel is retaliating with increased raids in the West Bank. Well, the war has devastated lives and economies far beyond Gaza and the West Bank. CBN correspondent Chuck Colton traveled to neighboring Jordan to see the impact on one of the region's top tourist destinations.
Petra, Jordan's crown jewel and a UNESCO World Heritage Site, normally bustles with thousands of visitors daily. Since October 7th, however, its rose-red facades and ancient streets have fallen eerily silent.
No tourists. All the tourists is afraid. Maybe in the Jordan we have war, but the Jordan it's not Palestine. It's far away. Or Jordan it's very safe.
Despite Jordan's distance from the conflict, the perception of danger has dealt a severe blow to the country's tourism industry.
We have many hotels is closed in this one. Like it's 28 hotels, maybe it's 30. Also, we have 300 persons working in the hotel, but now it's stay away in the house, not work, we don't have work.
To be the only person riding a camel through the rose-red city would have been an impossible dream pretty much any other time in history. And being here with no tourists because of the war almost makes it feel like you're discovering it for the first time. It's really amazing.
If you like to do shopping, we'll give you a good price.
Unfortunately, that dream has become a nightmare for the merchants making their living here.
Nice gift to buy from Petra. It's car for $180.
When in the high season, we do $200, $300 a day, sometimes $400. Now we make like 10, 15 JD a day. And sometimes no money at all. Like sometimes 5, 6 days, no business.
Without tourists, many can no longer feed their families.
Well, before October 7th, it was like climbing up to a monastery around 2,000 a day, 5,000 visiting Petra downstairs. And now we have almost like 50, 40 a day, sometimes 20, maybe more like downstairs, like 100, 150.
Across Jordan, hotel occupancies have plummeted to as low as 3% in some areas. Airlines have cut routes, and cruise ships have canceled visits. Despite their hardships, many here are reluctant to openly discuss the root cause of their economic woes.
When asked about the Hamas massacre as a possible reason behind his suffering, Solomon immediately ended the interview, a chilling reminder that people here are very careful not to blame the terror group. As war continues, the economic toll on Jordan and other neighboring countries grows. The once bustling streets of Petra remain silent, its majestic ruins both a testament to human ingenuity and a stark reminder of the far-reaching impact of this conflict. From Petra, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Great reporting, Chuck. Thanks. Coming up, evangelicals and the election, how the issue of abortion is impacting the voters who just might swing this election. Next on Faith Nation. Welcome back. In 2016, evangelical voters were unified behind Donald Trump and helped him win the White House. This election season, Trump's views on abortion are dividing many of his supporters. CBN's chief political analyst David Brody has that story.
But we got to do that, fellas, you know?
In a presidential election seen as razor close, Donald Trump will once again need conservative evangelicals fully behind him if he hopes to be reelected in November. There's a difference this time around, however. Tony Perkins is with the Family Research Council and keeps a finger on the pulse of the evangelical grassroots.
The temperature is not as high as it was in 2016 and 2020 when it comes to who they're supporting.
The main reason comes down to abortion. In the past, Trump courted evangelicals, promising staunchly pro-life policies, and he delivered. Since the decision overturning Roe v. Wade, however, the abortion issue has led to political defeats for Republicans. That's led to Trump's refusal to endorse a federal abortion ban and his willingness to support abortion pill access through the mail. He also declared that he would be, quote, great for women and their reproductive rights, toxic language Democrats use to push abortion. Sean Spicer is Trump's former press secretary.
Look, for an election that comes down to thousands of votes in handfuls of states, I think this is bad. This is it. It doesn't keep a key part of the Republican/conservative base excited. This was key to his victory last time with the judges, and he's undermining it. These are unforced errors right now, as far as I'm concerned.
So has there been a shift? In an interview with CBN News, Trump campaign spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt pushes back on that assumption.
I would reject that there's been a shift, David. I think President Trump has been consistent and clear, even in his first term as president, that the issue of abortion is one he believes and one the pro-life community has fought to bring back to the states.
The Trump campaign is fully aware it needs evangelicals to show up bigly to win. That's why it quickly cleaned up another potential mess when the former president appeared to favor voting for a Florida amendment that would essentially get rid of the state's 6-week ban on abortion.
I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks.
Less than 24 hours later, he clarified his position, saying the amendment that would legalize abortion through the 9th month is a no-go.
All of that stuff is unacceptable. So I'll be voting no for that reason.
Marjorie Dannenfelser with the SBA list acknowledges the messaging has been confusing to the pro-life voters that they are trying to get to the polls.
The threat would be that people stay home because they can't sort out what's the better choice. So it's our job to say, yes, I see where you're coming from, but it's still the better choice to go with the candidates that will preserve states' rights to pass pro-life laws. To be perfectly honest, I'm going door to door to do everything I can to keep Harris out of office.
He's not Kamala Harris. He's not advocating for abortion until birth at taxpayer expense. So we have to choose that which is least offensive or that which more clearly aligns with biblical truth.
But the jury is still out if that's going to translate into the same enthusiasm.
I do think what is going to happen is that you're going to have a lack of enthusiasm, which means people aren't going to vote for the other side. I mean, I always hear this question. You've heard it, David. Where are your people going to go? Well, the issue is they're not going to go anywhere. Some of them are going to stay home, and that's the last thing we need.
There is a plan in place, with the Faith and Freedom Coalition busier than ever on the ground.
We're knocking on 10 million doors. We're making 10 million get out the vote calls. We're sending 28 million get out the vote texts.
CEO Ralph Reed believes born-again, Bible-believing evangelical voter turnout will be bigger than in 2016 or 2020. While abortion has been tricky, supporters maintain Trump still advocates for conservative pro-family policies. Also, this time around, new federal election rules allow the Trump campaign to work with outside groups like Faith and Freedom to mobilize voters. Reid has a warning to conservative Christian voters who stay home.
And I will tell you this. Donald Trump sometimes says and does things that I wish he wouldn't say or do. But he is the most pro-life advocate we've ever had sitting behind the Resolute desk, sitting in the Oval Office. He delivered for us. This is about the sanctity of life. If they stay home, then they don't deserve to have this victory. They don't deserve to have leaders like that.
As for the campaign, it recently launched its Believers for Trump coalition.
The evangelical community is a massive part of our campaign, and we need them to win on November the 5th. And our campaign understands that. President Trump understands that.
The campaign says this group has signed up more than 2,000 church captains to educate fellow evangelicals on getting out to vote and the choice before them.
We're also targeting low propensity evangelical voters who may not be political, may not have voted in past election cycles, but we have teams on the ground across the battleground state that are focused on doing just that.
Also this week, the campaign announced a new Catholics for Trump coalition. Trump World fully aware an all-hands-on-deck approach is needed as the country heads toward the fall election. The question will be whether evangelicals stick with Trump to once again be his saving grace. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
Thank you so much, David. Coming up, an unexpected backyard visitor. That's next on Faith Nation. Finally tonight, as temperatures in Los Angeles reached triple digits last week, everyone was looking for ways to escape the heat, including the wildlife. One resident captured the moment a massive black bear took a dip in his backyard kiddie pool. He looked so comfortable. A security camera at Wayne Sacha's Monrovia home caught the bear sprawling out in the small pool to cool off. Sacha said he intentionally filled the pool with water to help relieve animals during the heat wave. He named this particular visitor Snaggle because of a tooth hanging out of its mouth, and plans to keep the pool full of water in case he returns. He looks very playful, but I wouldn't suggest going up to him. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.